During the Battle of France, 477 RAF fighters were lost. Over 300 of these were Hurricanes. Although these losses were high, many vital lessons were learned, which would be invaluable in the months to come. Pilots harmonized their guns at 250 instead of the previously recommended range of 650 yards, making their hitting power more concentrated and greatly improving their effectiveness. The guns themselves had been prone to freezing at high altitudes. To rectify this, the gun lubricating oil was thinned down with paraffin. Further problems had been caused by moisture entering the gun barrels. These were now taped over with fabric, protecting them from the elements until the guns were first fired. The unofficial practice of fitting armor plate behind the pilot's seat had saved many lives. From this point on, Hurricanes had armor plating fitted as standard. Procedure had changed too. Tight wingtip formations were dropped in favor of looser groupings, improving overall visibility and allowing more space for evasive action. In the weeks before the now inevitable battle, Churchill continued to bolster the morale of the British people.
We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on beaches, landing grounds, in fields, in streets, and on the hills. We shall never surrender.
Though Britain's situation seemed grave, it had two distinct advantages. As an island, there was a natural barrier between it and the massing invasion force. The second was man-made: radar. As early as 1934, it had been noticed that other passing aircraft would interfere with radio signals. A secret study group was set up to investigate the potential of this discovery. By the summer of 1940, Britain had a network of 58 radar stations with overlapping coverage. Cathode ray oscillographs were vigilantly monitored 24 hours a day. When echoes appeared on the trace, the operator measured the range, bearing and height on a calibrated dial. It was possible to estimate the number of aircraft from the characteristics of the trace. British aircraft carried a device which produced a stronger signal on the screen, letting the operator know that they were friendly. This information was then passed by telephone to the filter room at Fighter Command Headquarters, where it was plotted on a map to enable duplicates and errors to be filtered out. This information was relayed to operations rooms, where controllers could maneuver squadrons into position ready to intercept enemy attacks. At the time, the Germans didn't fully appreciate the importance of this defensive system. It allowed the RAF to organize pilots and their aircraft, which were in short supply, which could have been wasted in endless searches above the Channel and the southeast coast. It meant that valuable resources, such as fuel and engines, were deployed to best effect. Even at this late stage, continual improvements were being made to the Hurricane. Aircraft were fitted with the Rotol constant pitch propeller. The unit automatically altered its pitch under all conditions of air resistance and engine revs. The result was a better rate of climb and much reduced engine wear, a crucial factor when aircraft were stressed to the limits. From March 1940, all new production Hurricanes had metal wings. The reduced drag from this new development and further upgrading of the Merlin engine contributed to an improvement in the Hurricane's overall performance. The Hurricane's fighting partner was all metal. The Spitfire, manufactured by Supermarine, shared the same engine and armament. However, its flying characteristics were altogether different. A more streamlined design, it had a greater top speed and ceiling and was far more maneuverable. Experience gained in the Battle of France showed that the Spitfire was better suited to tackle the Messerschmitt 109. Theoretically, the Spitfire would attack the fighter screen, allowing the slower Hurricane to intercept the lumbering bombers unassailed. On the morning of July the 10th, the first large-scale attack was mounted on shipping. Off Dover, Stuka dive bombers attacked a convoy. Radar vectored British fighters to the scene, and only one small convoy ship was sunk. Over the next 9 days, the Germans probed the British defences. 30 British fighters were lost in minor skirmishes to the Germans' 44. On July the 20th, during another big raid on shipping, Dover Harbour was also attacked. This led to the first big dogfight of the battle. 48 Me-109s and 40 Hurricanes and Spitfires were involved. Dowding had to tread a fine line. He had to conserve his fighter strength, knowing that the Germans' main thrust was still to come. But he also had to do what he could to protect shipping that Britain could ill afford to lose. At this time, Fighter Command only possessed 57 squadrons of modern fighters, 29 of which operated Hurricanes. 17 of these were part of the 11 Group, the sector that would bear the brunt of the fighting.
My name is Wing Commander Mackenzie. I flew with 501 Squadron in the Battle of Britain on Hurricanes. Once when I had almost run out of ammunition, having shot down one 109 into the sea and then attacked the second one, hit him but wasn't able to finish him off, and followed him down over the sea over Folkestone Harbour, and was able to formate on him as he was only doing about 200 miles an hour. And finally, in order to make sure he went down, I slapped his port tail plane off with the tip of my starboard wing. About 3 feet came off the wing tip of my starboard wing and flew into the air, and we were down at about 200 feet and he went into the sea. Following that, I was attacked by 2 more Me-109s going back to England, or to try to make the airfield at Hawkinge, and I was shot up by them actually and had to land in a field just before Hawkinge airfield. I didn't ever reach the airfield and landed on almost on top of an anti-aircraft post.
Despite the extensive damage sustained in the incident and the following belly landing, Wing Commander Mackenzie's Hurricane V6799 was subsequently repaired and put back into service.
We were able to get our Hurricanes back after we'd been in combat and possibly been hit. They were much easier to repair and get back into the air again than the Spitfire. The Spitfire was developed after the Hurricane, and it has what is known as the monocoque construction, where the actual skin of the fuselage contributes to the strength, the overall strength of the aircraft. Hurricane, on the other hand, went back to the original small tubular construction of the Hind, the Fury, the Audax, the fabric skin, which took no strain. The strain was taken in the tubular construction.
On August the 12th, the Luftwaffe mounted its first major raids on radar stations and airfields. Although the airfield damage was considerable, Fighter Command's radar cover was only slightly impaired. 36 German aircraft were shot down for the loss of 13 Hurricanes and 6 Spitfires. The following day, August the 13th, was scheduled to be Eiglertag, or Eagle Day. The Germans believed that they had permanently knocked out 6 of Britain's radar stations. In fact, only the Isle of Wight installation would not be working that morning. The Luftflotten expected to reach their targets undetected. In addition, intelligence reports were telling them that the British fighter defences were so weakened they had no chance in defending the whole of the south of England. That day, 47 German aircraft failed to return to their bases for the loss of only 13 British fighters, and hardly any German bombs hit their targets. As it turned out, the massed synchronized raids of Eagle Day were disrupted by the weather. A second attempt was made on August the 15th. This time, the 3 Luftflotten, made up of 520 bombers and 1,270 fighters, attacked in unison.